we got a goodie last night. Woo! And we didn't see the same explosive offensive situation out of the Chiefs and Eagles that we saw in the Super Bowl last year, but we did get the same level of drama and honestly a little sprinkle of controversy for your Tuesday morning. The Eagles storm back to stun the Chiefs. This one's in rainy, messy, icky conditions in Kansas City. Donna Kelsey's in the building. Parents are meeting. All this is going on. For Philly, that's where we start because that's where the winners start, and that's what we got to do on this program. And we've talked about it on the show, they are not what they were last year. They're better because they're adapting. They're making the big plays in the key moments. The Chiefs took away A.J. Brown. They sacked Jalen 5 times in the first half. I hated seeing that lower third on the ESPN broadcast. I was like, oh, I hate this. And it resulted in the Eagles' second worst offensive output in the entire Nick Sirianni era. The Birds put up 238 yards of total offense. Is the sky falling? Are we freaking out? Did I check on Marissa McBride, our resident producer / Eagles super fan? I did, and she was worried, but Howie Roseman's a genius. How many times do I have to tell you all? DeAndre Swift made him look so much smarter than he already looks last night. He accounted for 107 of those sort of measly 238 yards and was the only real consistent offense the Eagles had, but that's amazing. The box score wasn't pretty, but it was a big moment for Swift, for Howie, for everybody, for Jalen too. Everything he wanted to do was taken away from the guy. The Chiefs aggressively jumped on all of the RPOs and the short stuff. I talked about AJ, the pressure he was under, but with the game on the line. The game on the line, facing your nightmare, your PTSD defense. This defense, by the way, is insane. We'll get to that. Fourth quarter, he figured out a way to get it done. This throw that you just saw to Devontae Smith, what's more clutch? I haven't seen it. That's it. That's it right there. And while it was already just an insane, incredible moment by itself in a vacuum, it got out there after I heard what Nick Sirianni had to say about it after the game.
Devontae and AJ had a huge play that Jalen actually checked to. It was a heck of a check. Jalen just sees some great things out there, and he did a phenomenal job. Got to a little bit of a, I won't get too much into it, but he checked to that, and it ended up being the right call at the right moment. And that's what good quarterbacks do. Quarterbacks, they make 3 or 4 plays that change the game with their mind, right? They got to do a great job throwing the ball, running the show. But they make 3 to 4 checks a game with their mind that can make big differences, and Jalen did that tonight.
He looks a bit exhausted there in a win, and I gotta say, congrats to Nick Sirianni, to everybody involved, because there was a bit of a demon to slay there. Granted, this is a regular season game, but it's a big game. I'll remind everyone, when I went and sat with him in Philadelphia at the training facility in the middle of training camp for this season, he candidly, and I give him a lot of credit for admitting, and actually his son sort of ratted him out, that he's still there clicking with the remote, watching Super Bowl tape. Yesterday, the day before, in training camp for this year, when everybody wants to put bad losses, the past year, the adversity in the rearview mirror, like Nick Sirianni's been dealing with this heaviness of the Super Bowl loss week in, week out. I believe in that. I believe, and I joke about the PTSD of it all, but it existed. And so congrats to him. Congrats for getting it done. And really kudos to the entire Philly Eagles team. And what he's saying there about Jalen is that he's finding a way. And that adaptation, he says it's good quarterbacks. It's great quarterbacks. We're seeing more teams week in, week out. They're ready. They're coming for them. They've got the target on their back in the NFC. And they're taking away the good things the Eagles have, the things the Eagles do best. Yet somehow, Jalen and co., they're finding a way to get it done. And these comeback wins are moving him and this Eagles team into sort of like legendary territory. And I don't mean that. Like I know what I'm saying when I'm saying that. They've got a few weeks to go. And look, we have to update this after last night. Take a look at this. Best records. After digging themselves out of that 17-7 hole, the Eagles are now 4-0 this season when facing a halftime deficit. Okay? That surpasses the undefeated 1972 Dolphins and the 15-1 1998 Minnesota Vikings. I'm talking about the best record in NFL history when trailing at half. They moved to 9-1, a game up on the Lions for the 1 seed, 2 games up on the Niners, and they're currently the favorites at plus 190 to repeat as NFC champions. Big, awesome night for Philly. Couldn't be happier for them and all of their fans getting one over the Chiefs. And for the Chiefs fans never want to hear it. Never want to hear criticism on their team. Y'all got some issues, but I do think this is like a reckoning, like a galvanizing situation. Listen, this loss drops, keyword drops, we'll get there. It drops them to the 2 seed in the AFC. Baltimore takes over the top spot. I have a feeling that race for the number 1 seed is going to come down to the wire, as it usually does in the past couple of years. But for KC to stay in it, they got some fixing to do. Y'all have to head to the shop. I don't know. We didn't do it at the trade deadline. Okay, it's an easy thing to point to the drops, sure. And if NVS catches this, and I think every Packers fan on the planet is like, oh yeah, I've seen this before. Speaking of PTSD, listen, we're not talking about anything else this morning if he catches that. Same with Justin Watson's, 4th and 25, fine. But it wasn't just the drops on the receivers that are, I'm not stifling, sinking Kansas City right now. How do y'all feel out there at Up and Adam Show? I mean, their best 2 players both committed turnovers in the red zone. That's unbelievable. That's hard. That's unacceptable. This Mahomes pick, the Travis Kelce fumble, this was the first thing Andy Reid pointed out post-game, not the drops. So everyone's screaming the drop game. No, you even get field goals in those 2 spots, you win the game, okay? If this offense, and they've gone 3 straight games without a single point in the second half, what is going on? They're the 2nd highest scoring team in the NFL in the first half, dead last in the second half. That is bananas. Coach Reid was asked about it, by the way, and is there an answer?
Adam, I think we're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot. I've got to do a better job helping out with that, and then, my guys have got to do the same thing. So we've all got to pick it up a notch there. The second half, we're just not as sharp there. We'll work on that.
Vague, not really an answer. He's super frustrated, I get it. I think they do turn this around. This is one of those, maybe they needed this. I'm surprised and sort of happy that there isn't like the world of sports media coming after Travis Kelce this morning for like being focused. Why are you in Argentina? Nobody's doing that, which I appreciate. Because that's just the way human nature works. And, when you put your life out there, you sort of ask for that if something goes wrong. That hasn't happened, which I love. But I do think there's like this was a primetime game. We got to tighten this up. And with what Andy's talking about in these first and second halves, I can't say it doesn't remind me of the Alex Smith-led Andy Reid offenses, okay? They sort of do their thing, scripted, and then they go into these sort of lulls in the second half. We haven't seen it with Mahomes, though, and now it's happening, which is weird. It might not be that. I'd love to know what you guys out there think. The personnel, the receiver issues, that's clearly going to contribute to this, but there's more to play here than that. Whatever's going on, the Chiefs have to fix it, and I believe we'll fix it. I kind of actually now that the Bengals have Browning, I sort of think the Chiefs are going to go and be the representative yet again. If this is the Super Bowl matchup, I'm as giddy as can be. I'm booking my flight extra early to Vegas, even though I just left there and was there for way too long and hated it every second past 24 hours. If this is it, other way. If this is it, I'm into this. Who says no?